Welcome to Satsang. It's such a joy as always to be together in this beautiful, beautiful space of truth, of diving into the truth of who we are. And welcome, of course, to our global family, joining us from all over the world, from your homes, your offices, your rooms, your cars, wherever you're joining us from. A beautiful welcome to you as well. We begin usually with a question that comes in advance from our global audience, and then open it up to any questions that anyone here has. What if you found out, this is a very interesting question, what if you found out that one of your long-held and favorite memories wasn't true? Would it matter? You know, it's interesting because I've got a background in psychology, and in psychology, we study a lot about memory, actually. Memory is one of the very common focuses when you study psychology, and it gets studied because our memories impact us so much. And what we know is that memory, anyway, is very unreliable. If I say to you, tell me your favorite childhood memory, let's go around, and you tell me, you're going to feel like the way you are describing it is exactly the way it happened. Right? Choose any memory. Just think in your own minds right now of a memory. Now, if I say to you, how sure are you that that's exactly how it happened? You're going to say, well, I'm very sure. Because, of course, I remember it. That's how it happened. I remember it. And yet what we know is that our memory is really embarrassingly bad. We think it's great, but it's embarrassingly bad. And this, one of the reasons that there's so much research on this is in court cases. When someone claims to be an eyewitness and they've got eyewitness testimony, that's considered like, oh, if there's an eyewitness, well, definitely it's happened. Agar koi kehta hai ki maine dekha mere aankhon se, then definitely it happened. And so they've started doing all of these research, and what they found is that if they show, for example, a video to people, and in the video there's a car accident, and they tell people, pay attention to this video as best as you can. And maybe the video is only 1 minute, not a big deal, very powerful video. And then afterwards they say to people, approximately how fast do you think the red car was going before the accident? Now, some people may say 40 miles an hour, some may say 60, some may say 70. But the trick is, there wasn't actually a red car. The cars were blue and green, or blue and white, or something. But almost no one says there wasn't a red car. Everyone gives a speed that the red car was going. And then, if you ask people a week later, what color was the car that caused the accident, they will remember it as red. Because we told them in the beginning, the red car. Now that's embarrassing as people who depend on our brains, on our memories for how we live. But study after study after study after study has shown over and over again that our memory is miserable. Inevitably, we merge things together, we fill in the blanks. Over time, they get completely changed. Even the memories that you think are your most vivid memories, I guarantee you, some major part of that memory is wrong. And I guarantee it only because I've studied the science. And the science says we just don't remember the way we think that we do. So the person has asked, what do you do if you find out that one of your favorite memories isn't true? Well, the first thing we do, even before that, is we realize most of our memories are probably not true. Or not true, at least in the way we remember them. Kuch to hua. Something happened, we remember the idea, the theme, but not the details. And this is really important because you realize how much of our anger, our pain, our grudges are rooted in what we think happened to us in the past. So right now, whether your memory has already been proven to not be right or not, realize your memories are not nearly as accurate as you think. And that's beautiful because it actually frees us up. As long as we think that what I remember is exactly true, I'm stuck. I'm stuck with that identity, that story, that drama. The minute I realize, it's probably not true. Or at least a lot of it isn't true. Pieces of it are, but a lot isn't. Then we become completely free to remember things in completely different ways. And what's important about our memories is how they impact us today. So if you've got a memory that's causing you pain, anger, grudges, guilt, tell yourself that chances are the way you're remembering it is not actually the way that it happened. And that now would be exactly the right time to let go of the anger, of the pain, of the attachment, of the guilt. And to stop living in the past. And similarly, if it's a good memory, we don't need to have these very vivid, sharp memories of goodness in the past. Create goodness here. Hold your memories. I'm not saying let go of your memories. Hold them, but hold them lightly. Hold them lightly. Allow them to bring you joy. If you've got a beautiful memory, let it bring you joy. It's not exactly how it happened, no problem. There's no fine for remembering your memory wrong. The universe doesn't, make you pay some fine for that. Remember things in ways that either bring you joy or bring you lessons. As long as we know that they're not actually accurate anyway, let's re-remember our lives, redo our stories in ways either that bring us joy today or in ways that give us lessons. And that's the point that memory serves anyway. So whether it's exactly historically accurate or not doesn't matter. What matters is there joy in it? Or is there a lesson in it? And if there's either, then wonderful. But hold it lightly. The truth that we speak of is the truth of who we are, unchanging, And that's not dependent upon exactly what happened when you were 8 years old and exactly how you remember it. It's dependent on recognizing that the you who had an 8-year-old body is the same as the you who has this body now. That although the body has changed, you have not. That's much more important than an actual memory of when you were 8 or 9. So it wasn't exactly how you remembered it? No problem. Didn't happen at all? No problem. Does it make you happy to think about? Beautiful, think about it. There's no rule that says you can't rewrite your life. Wasn't so good the first time around? No problem. Remember it differently. Tell your story differently. What matters is how it impacts you today. Give yourself a story that today is going to bring you joy or inspiration, or both. That was a very interesting question. Yes. Just 1 second, he's bringing you the mic.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
When you use the word I, what does that mean? What does that mean that I, what I is? And is I is not a memory?
No, I is definitely not a memory. Definitely not a memory. I is that which is alive and present right now. Our memories are drama. Our memories are like plots in a movie or a stage show. The body did this, the body did that, the body went here, the body ate that. Had really good pizza here, good ice cream over there, tacos here, bought this here, went to that party there. Memories are plot, drama, stories. Ye hua, wo hua. I is that which exists regardless of the drama, independent of the drama. I is the one that stays constant. Chahe मैं pizza खा रही हूँ, चाहे ice cream खा रही हूँ, चाहे tacos खा रही हूँ. I doesn't change. The drama changes, the story changes, the memory changes, the emotions may change, the feelings may change. How my stomach feels at the moment or tomorrow morning may change. But I doesn't change. I is that. Lord Krishna gave it so perfectly in the Bhagavad Gita. That which is never born, never dies, cannot be burned by fire, wet by water, dried by the wind, cut with knives. It is that all-encompassing infinite experience, infinite being, that is one with the divine, that is one with all, inseparable, omnipotent, omniscient, infinite. That is I. The dilemma is that it can be understood only experientially. No drama, no plot, no stories. And the mind loves a good story. If you notice, all our minds do pretty much all day long is tell stories. either they're retelling stories of the past, the good and the bad. Wo to bahut acha tha. Oh, so sad it's over. Or, oh, that was very bad. It's telling stories of the future. I'll never become anything. I'm going to be a failure. I'll never accomplish what I want, achieve what I want, experience what I want. It's telling stories all the time, the past and the future, and also the present. The mind makes stories of everything. You're walking into satsang. As you're walking in, the two people walking ahead of you start talking to each other. The mind says, they must be talking about me. I wonder what they're saying. How dare they talk about me like that? Hare, we're going into satsang. Amazing. Already they are gossiping about me. Now you don't even know them. You have no idea what they're talking about. But maybe one of them, as you were walking in the reception, maybe one of them looked at you for a very brief moment. And now you've got it in your head that what they saw was something that's made them now whisper about you. The mind is amazing, but it hates uncertainty. And so it always makes stories. Something happens that we don't understand, the mind will give you a story. A friend of yours doesn't invite you someplace. The mind gives a story. Now they hate me. This other person must have polluted them. It's always going to give you a story. It's what the mind does. I is without any stories. I is dramaless, plotless, storyless. It's that experience that is first on one level is observing the story, and then on a deeper level is aware that I am observing the story. When we speak about consciousness, that I'm able to be conscious that I'm watching this story. That's the I. Whatever the story may be, I is aware. I is aware. So it's like you walk through a winter day. You walk through a summer day. You walk through a windy day. You walk through a hot day. You walk through a cold day. But the body stays the same. The weather is changing, but the same body is walking through all those days. In one case, the eyes are seeing snow. In another case, they're seeing sun. The hands are feeling cold or feeling hot or feeling wet. But the body is the same. In the same way, we are experiencing anger, joy, grief, jealousy, frustration, stress. I is aware that these experiences are happening. But I doesn't change based on the experience. Like the body doesn't change based on the weather. The body's aware the weather has changed, but it doesn't change. I is aware, now this experience is happening, now this is happening. Now there's some anger arising, but I doesn't change. Does anyone else have a question? Yes, you, and then you.
Namaskaram and Atma Vandan. In meditation, how to attain a thoughtless state.
There's a lot of different ways to find that space between thoughts. I wouldn't say thoughtless, because eventually a thought arises. I think about it more as space between the thoughts and simply expanding that space. And then, even if a little thought arises, we learn how to just let it go so it doesn't distract us. You know, it's like there are some people who are really deep sleepers. There's still noise. And maybe it wakes them ever so slightly if it's a really loud noise, but they never really come out of sleep. Maybe they just kind of turn over. But they never really come out of sleep. They stay asleep. And then there are people who every single little noise, they're wide awake. So, in the same way in meditation, sometimes thoughts arise and we lose the meditation, like someone loses their sleep. The thought arises and we just attach ourselves onto the thought. We follow the thought, we keep telling the stories of the thought. We go around with it. And then, as we meditate more and more, we become able to have that little thought arise. And we're aware of it. But it never really pulls us out of our meditation. And we're able to just go right back into meditating and let the thought dissipate. And that's the state you want to attain. And it's just practice. It's really just practice. Our minds are used to being on 24/7. And so you can't go from that to just suddenly, I'm going to sit here and not have any thoughts. What we do first is we give the mind one thing to think about, one thing to do. You know, it's like if you have a puppy dog or a kitty cat or even a little baby running all over the place, peeing on your couch, right? Getting into everything, making lots of noise. Well, the goal is not to become dogless or catless or babyless. You understand you want to coexist, but to have some space in that moment from the craziness of that being in your life. And so what you do is you give them one thing. A bone to the dog, right? A toy. Something to the child. And then they sit in a corner or they sit somewhere calmly and they play with it. And at least the rest of the house now is calm. So in the same way, we give something to our mind. We can have it be aware of the breath. We can give it a mantra. We can give it a name of God. We can give it a prayer. We can give it an image, an open-eyed meditation. We can give it a candle flame. These are ways of bringing the mind from being all over the place to being in one place. And then slowly, slowly, the mind becomes quiet. Slowly, slowly, the observer and the observed become one. The one reciting the mantra, the one hearing the mantra, and the mantra itself become one. And you reach a state where the mind just becomes very, very still. And at the beginning, it may last a moment. Just a moment. You touch it for a moment. And then it's gone. And one of the reasons it's gone is because the mind goes, I'm there, I got it. This is a thoughtless state. And then, of course, that's a thought again. So now you've lost it. But slowly, slowly, as you keep practicing, and the practice is when a thought arises, not to give into it. One of my favorite stories about this, it's a true story. Every year we host the International Yoga Festival here, and in March. And one year, I teach meditation frequently in the festival, and most of the festival programs take place in our back yoga garden. And we erect these big, beautiful tents. And I was teaching meditation in the afternoon, and for some reason, the monkeys tend to come much more in the afternoon than the morning. And we were in the tent, just meditating. I was leading a guided meditation, and suddenly you started hearing, softly at first and slowly, and then more and more, this, because it's the fabric of the tent, and it was monkeys jumping on the tent. And then some of them started dangling their arms in, and of course when people get distracted by they open their eyes. And then when they open their eyes, they see that the monkeys have got their arms dangling in the space where the fabric meets each other. And then everybody's giggling. But, it just lasts a couple minutes. They open their eyes, they giggle, they close them again. They realize, okay, it's just the monkeys. We come back to the meditation. And we were just getting really deep again when suddenly I heard wham, 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 bam, bam. And it was the chowkidar we had hired to keep the monkeys away. And he had this big metal stick, and he was hitting the metal poles of the tent to scare the monkeys off the roof. Now, obviously, there is no way you can meditate in a tent where somebody is banging a metal pole against a metal pole at a furious rate. And so I bowed to the chowkidar for this beautiful demonstration, because it actually was a perfect demonstration of what happens in meditation. So we're meditating, and there's a distraction. We speak about the monkey mind. In this case, we actually had live monkeys giving us the demonstration, actual monkeys bouncing around. You notice it. It distracts you for a brief moment. And then you bring the awareness back. And slowly it stops distracting you because you realize, they're just the monkeys. But when the inner chowkidar starts yelling at the monkeys and starts trying to get the thoughts to go away, stop it. Be quiet. Get out of here. Then you've lost your meditation. And so it was a beautiful opportunity to actually have that experience. And so what happens with us is we're meditating, a thought arises, sensation arises, we itch. Then we have a choice. We draw the awareness right back, or we allow the mind to just go, right? I've got an itch. Oh, I bet there's ants on me. Yeah, God, India's got so many bugs. People told me not to come to India. There's too many bugs. I wonder if I've got a vaccination for whatever this thing is that's crawling all over my knee must be. Now, all that happened was my knee itched. But if I allow the mind to go, I'm contracting some deadly illness from just an itchy knee. That's the way the mind works. So the practice is a practice of the knee itches. We just bring the awareness back. We don't allow ourselves to get hooked into a story. Just bring it back. No judgment, no analysis, no drama. We just bring it back. And then that thoughtless state will expand and expand. It'll come easier and easier. You'll find more and more space between your thoughts. Yeah, beautiful. And then you had a question, last question here. Namaskar.
For specific, for the last 1 month or so, I am just reading about this place known as the Gyan Ganj, Shangri-La, or Siddh Yoga, something like that. This is near the Tibet or this Himalayas. Whether it is a lot of, they say this saints, they live in the astral body, including Mahavatar Baba. So whether it is the mental hallucination, perception, or it is real, there is contradictory views are coming. So I was a little confused. I thought I must ask you. Sorry.
Yes and yes. Meaning, he says, is it just in the mind or is it real? This place of paradise, you could say, in simple English. Heaven on earth. That the saints and the sages describe it. Is it in their minds or is it really here? Should we look for it? Well, our minds create our reality. That which I'm seeing right now is a product of my own mind. When Pujya Swamiji was very young in the jungles, he tells this story frequently of a saint who told him, Bolo Jivan Kaisa hai, Jaisa banalo vaisa hai. Chahe isko swarg banalo, chahe isko narak banalo. It's up to you. So, am I going to live in heaven or hell? It is up to me. It is a product of how I think. That which makes paradise or Shangri-La is not about which flowers blossom. There's lots of people all over the world with beautiful gardens who are miserable. There's no direct connection to the number of flowers blooming in your front yard and your mental state. Take a trip through America, take a trip through Europe, take a trip through so many parts of the world where people have huge gardens. India, huge gardens, lots of flowers, and they're miserable. So, certain species of flowers do not create paradise. The paradise exists in our experience, but then it also exists in reality in the world that we live in. There's a beautiful story of a sage who was sitting on a path in the jungles, and a young boy was sitting with him. And a man walked by and he says to the sage, "Tell me about the village up ahead." And the sage says, "Well, where are you coming from?" And the man says, "Oh, I'm coming from such and such a village, and it was horrible. The people were liars and cheaters and thieves." And the sage said, "I'm so sorry to tell you this, but the village up ahead is actually exactly the same." So although the man keeps walking, there's only one road, only one way to go. And a short while later, another man comes by and says, "Tell me about the village up ahead." And the sage says, "Where are you coming from?" And he says, "Oh, I'm coming from this village that was so beautiful. The people were full of such love and generosity, caring." And the sage said, "Great news. The village up ahead is exactly the same." Now the young boy sitting with him says, "Babaji, ye kaise ho sakte hain? Ek hi village hai. There's only one village up ahead. How can it possibly be full of people who are liars and cheaters, thieves, and people who are loving and generous and kind?" And the sage says, "Because what each of these men sees is what they will keep seeing wherever they go." So the first man will see liars and thieves and cheats. The second man will see beautiful people. And so what the saints and the sages and the rishis have experienced is that paradise inside that enables them wherever they are, whomever they are with, to experience that. They carry the fragrance with them. It's not about what's blossoming in the field in front of me. They actually carry the fragrance with them. So naturally, wherever they go, it's heavenly fragrance. So can we find it? Yes. But not on a map. You know, in psychology, one of the things that we talk about is something called pulling a location. And it's slang for what it means is, oh, you're miserable, you're depressed, and you decide, I'm going to go to Tahiti, everything will be better. If I were just on a beach in Tahiti, everything would be okay. But of course, the same you who's miserable and depressed is the same you who's sitting on the beach in Tahiti. And so what you find is that misery and that depression stays with you. Because wherever you go, there you are. And so it's not about finding the most beautiful place, because you will carry your misery along with your underpants and toothbrush along with you. And if what you have found is peace and joy and love and fragrance in your life, you will carry that. So that Shangri-La, that paradise, that heaven on earth, it exists within us. And then, yeah, it's everywhere we go. Beautiful. We will start with your question tomorrow. Kal aapki question se shuru karte hain na. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, a wonderful rest of your evening. Hope to see you all tomorrow. And a beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from around the world. And so much love to you all.